Yeah.
Billing for 5 hours for 4 hours of work sounds an awful lot like fraud.
KARE 11 investigation is uncovering tens of millions of dollars in questionable billing at one of Minnesota's largest and most well-known addiction treatment providers. Investigative reporter AJ Legault continues to follow the money in his series, Recovery, Inc.
The journey towards recovery leads roughly 8,000 Minnesotans a year to a New Way Addiction Treatment Center door.
I received wonderful care there.
But what KARE 11's investigation found going on behind the doors of the nonprofit has otherwise grateful clients like Rich LaFortune questioning how taxpayer-funded Medicaid was billed in their name.
Oh, that was happening? Holy shit.
Rich says at New Way, he went to outpatient group treatment in back-to-back meetings from 8 a.m. to noon.
How many hours is that?
8 to noon, that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4.
His records confirm he received 4 hours of treatment, but his billing documents reveal New Way charged Medicaid for 5 hours.
That's odd. That's not correct math.
I'll be blunt.
Yeah.
Billing for 5 hours for 4 hours of work sounds an awful lot like fraud.
But they're not billing 5 hours for 4 hours work. What they're doing is billing in a way that's consistent with the instruction that DHS gave.
David Glazer is New Way's attorney. He argues the Minnesota Department of Human Services gave treatment providers unclear billing instructions and New Way broke no rules.
The government's instruction was once you cross the midpoint of a unit, you can bill a unit.
This gets complicated. Here's what we found happening.
Treatment sessions are billed to Medicaid by the hour. The rules state that in order to bill for that hour, the session must go past the midpoint. New Way exploited that midpoint rule, scheduling their treatment sessions in 35-minute blocks. So for 35 minutes of treatment, taxpayers were charged for a full hour. But then, records show New Way also double billed. Here's how. From 8 to 8:35, they'd bill for an hour. Then at 8:45, they'd start billing for another hour, double billing for the overlapping 15 minutes. That means every 4 hours of treatment, they billed for 5 hours, inflating their billing by 20%.
KARE 11's investigation uncovered internal records that reveal top New Way employees were concerned that what they were doing equated to tens of millions of dollars in fraud.
This email is dated August 11th, 2022. It's from Morgan Kluwender, New Way's Revenue Cycle Director, addressed to CFO John Marston. It says, knowing that we continue to send duplicative claims out daily, I would advise that we stop sending claims, citing the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services definition of fraud, waste, and abuse. The email then details the double billing process and estimates in less than 3 years, they'd overbilled by $58 million. 2 weeks later, New Way's CFO Marston sends out this email that indicates they received legal guidance from the law firm Swanson Hatch, run by 2 former Minnesota attorneys general, that the practice of always billing just over the minimum required time is problematic, and they should align programming with the number of hours/units being billed. Both Kluwender and Marston declined KARE 11's interview requests, but their LinkedIn profiles show both left New Way within weeks of those emails being sent. New Way's current attorney would not comment on past legal advice. Meanwhile, client records and state billing data show New Way ignored those internal fraud concerns and continued to charge Medicaid millions of dollars for more hours of treatment than they actually gave clients.
That is a huge red flag.
Doug Kelly is the former federal prosecutor in charge of the DOJ's white-collar crime section in Minnesota. He says federal investigators should be looking hard at New Way's billing, but DHS, which oversees Medicaid, has some major explaining to do.
Who is asleep at the switch to allow this to go on for so long and for so many millions of dollars?
That's a question KARE 11 has been asking for more than a year. Our Recovery, Inc. investigations exposed how DHS approved tens of millions of dollars in questionable Medicaid payments to other addiction treatment providers without adequate oversight. After our reports, The FBI launched ongoing criminal investigations of Refocus Recovery and its for-profit partner Kairos, and the owner of Evergreen Recovery is now facing federal fraud charges.
It's simply unacceptable. It's maddening.
Governor Walz recently announced a new investigative unit to crack down on fraud in state-run programs. And shortly thereafter, that DHS Commissioner Jody Harpstead is stepping down, effective next week. For months, Harpstead declined KARE 11's interview requests, but sent a statement about New Way's billing that says in part, it's indefensible when providers use loopholes in state law to circumvent the rules.
DHS is often very obtuse and then accuses people of wrongdoing for that inability to read their minds.
New Way's attorney says for the past year, DHS has accused them of fraud, in part for billing for services not provided as billed. But the agency didn't add clarifying language to their midpoint billing rules until September, and New Way immediately complied. The rules now read, billable treatment units should not cover a previously billed time, and scheduling units less than 1 hour deprives the client of the benefit of the full unit of service.
I feel like I've been taken advantage of.
For clients and taxpayers, what was going on behind closed doors, now out in the open.
Citing what they are calling credible allegations of fraud, DHS is threatening to begin withholding all Medicaid payments to New Way effective February 21st.
Oh, so many things I want to ask you. First of all, taxpayers are getting weary of the same thing, seemingly uncovered time and again, but we're glad you're doing the work.
Yeah.
New Way, we know, does offer some really effective treatment. So what will this mean for them?
If DHS turns off the Medicaid payments like they're saying they're going to, it would effectively shut down the state's largest addiction treatment provider for low-income people. So clearly there's a lot at risk here for some of our state's most vulnerable. And our investigation actually continues Sunday as we expose how New Way's questionable billing made the nonprofits' leaders rich.
All right, that's coming up on Sunday. I know there's some bipartisan reform also bubbling up because of some
Yeah,
of your
lawmakers
reporting.
are already talking about what they can do to crack down on this.
All right, well, we appreciate another great report. Thanks, AJ.